You're tuning into Black and White Sports on YouTube. The no-holds-barred truth on sports. The main event starts now.
I'm back. Rodrance for Black and White Sports. Well, we have been chronicling the Lia Thomas, Alana McLaughlin. I mean, there's been several of these transgenders that have got into female sports. They're biological males. And, of course, it has created a complete imbalance of competitiveness in the world of sports. Plain and simple, you got world-class athletic women that are getting beat by average and sometimes slightly below average biological men who are going out there and saying, hey, we're women, ta-da, and they're setting records. The NCAA has completely bought into this, and now we're heading down the road of it being in the Olympics, right? Lia Thomas is... Lia/Will Thomas is getting ready for the Olympics. Well, now we have a transgender female golfer, Meanne Bagger, who says biological males should not be allowed to compete in female sports. This is sort of like one of these pioneers of this kind of movement, except this person is saying the movement has gotten well out of hand for various reasons. Transgender female golfer Meanne Bagger, this is Outkick, might made history when she competed against biological females in the 2004 Women's Australian Open, but she says now she doesn't believe that trans women should be allowed to compete against biological women in sports. Bagger, who began hormone replacement therapy in 1992 and had sex reassignment surgery in 1995, wow, this person went all in. Should be noted, competed in 2004 in the Australian Open. So 12 years earlier, had hormone replacement therapy. 9 years earlier, sex reassignment surgery. Okay, I'm not on board with any of this, but this is a damn sight more that this person has done prior to competing in the Australian Open than somebody like Lia Thomas has done, and she's going to explain this, or he's going to explain this. She supports the proposed Australian lawmakers' bill that would prohibit trans women from competing in female sports. Quote, these days, the dynamic has crept into what's called self-ID or self-identification. Male-bodied people presenting as women who live as women with varying degrees of medical intervention and in some degrees, no medical intervention, which is just, it's crossed the line in my view. It really has. It's a slap in the face to women, Bagger said. Bagger added that she was fine being labeled a hypocrite over her stance. She then emphasized that there are differences in being inclusive in society and inclusive in sports. Absolutely. Quote, you're talking about physical advantages now. Quote, in everyday society, of course, we want to be inclusive, egalitarian society. Bagger said we want equality, lack of discrimination, and of course, every single person should have equal access to life and services and work in society. Of course, we all want that, and so do I. In sport, it's different. Sport is about physical ability. It's not just about discrimination. It's not just about equality and equal access. It's a physical ability. Now, if you've got one group, males that are average, stronger, taller, faster, as opposed to women, there is going to be a divide. There has to be a division. Bagger's assertion comes as a subject of biological males competing in female sports has reached a fever pitch in the USPN transgender swimmer Lia Thomas, who won a NCAA Division I national championship in the women's 500-yard freestyle last month, has been the focal point of chatter. Athletes who oppose to Thomas being allowed to compete have begun to speak up in recent weeks. Women's tennis legend Martina Navratilova told the New York Post last month that she couldn't imagine being a biological female and having to go up against Thomas. Imagine being a biological female going against Lia, Navratilova said. A top woman swimmer has to literally be unbelievable to beat an average male swimmer who identifies as a female. The hormone suppression therapy doesn't mitigate the advantage they have over biological women. That's been our assertion all along. Bagger also took aim at the IOC's decision to forego the policy that made it mandatory for trans athletes to undergo medically unnecessarily procedures or treatments. Anyone with any basic understanding on biology and the difference between men and women know it's ridiculous. It's male puberty that really grants boys and men that physical performance in sport. It's irrefutable. It's ridiculous to suggest otherwise. Wow. So now we've got a transgender, and look, Caitlyn Jenner has come out, a.k.a. Bruce Jenner, has been very critical of this as well. But she's coming out and saying, look, there's distinct, marked advantages. And where we have come in and really sort of being critical of this movement is the idea of this heading in, not only being unfair for women that have really worked their entire lives to get to a certain spot, that have no chance of winning against somebody like Lia Thomas. But then in the case of somebody like Alana McLaughlin, who goes to the the MMA, this person was an ex-Army Ranger. Okay? A straight-up ex-Army Ranger, a dude, getting into an MMA ring and beating the hell out of an actual biological woman. I mean, that's repugnant, but we're heading into an area where it's just dangerous. Okay? It's physically dangerous for somebody to get in, a man, and compete against a woman in combat sports, MMA, boxing, wrestling, you name it. Somebody is going to get seriously injured at some point with all of this going on. Here there's been people more and more critical of what's going on here. At some point, something's got to change. Something's got to give. This cannot be allowed to continue. Man, I mean, this is a distinct disadvantage for the biological females trying to get out there and compete. They're having to go out there and flat-ass compete against women, compete against men, and that's just unfair. It's absolutely unfair. Tell me what you think, black and white sports fans. Make sure you hit subscribe if you're new to the channel. Peace, I'm out.
Thanks for watching the show. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Be sure to tune in next time on Black and White Sports.